Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the First Class, Second Place podcast. I'm your host, Jason Enrique, and with me today, we have another very special guest with us today. Now, I know I've been saying this for quite some time, that I've been looking forward to this guest for quite some time, and with all of the guests that we've had recently, but trust me, this is definitely one for the books. This has been a long time in the making, especially since he just came all the way from the West Coast. Ladies and gentlemen, we have none other than Ricky Rosario. What's up, Ricky?
Thank you, man. Thank you, Jason. Thank you for having me, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Yeah. So, let me... Before we get into it, I just want to remind everybody that we are in lovely Garfield, New Jersey at Bravery Studios. Shout out to Steve behind the glass. Thank you so much for everything you do, Steve. Much appreciated as always. So let's give a little bit of a backstory about how this episode came to be.
Yeah.
So you have a movie out called Abuelas Luck.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that about maybe 2 years ago, I was just searching through to watch something on HBO Max, and then afterwards I stumbled across a short film called Abuelas Luck, and I saw what it was about. I figured, you know what, let me just click on it. It's only like 9 minutes.
Yeah.
It's pretty short. It looks interesting, so I check it out, and it was really I thought it was really well done. I thought the story was great. It was definitely relatable, considering the fact that we're Hispanics, and I was really happy to see that it won all these accolades and these awards and so on and so forth. And I thought that, wow, this is a really good short film. I really enjoyed it. Fast forward to a year later, we have a mutual friend in Joe Fucarino. Shout out to Joe from Therapy Without a Degree and Jersey Media. I started working with him when I first started getting the podcast started, and then he was telling me about this festival and working with this director that's coming on his show, Therapy Without a Degree. He told me about Ricky Rosario, and he was telling me about the short film that he's just put out in the festival, and I was like, oh, cool, what's it called? He's said Abuelas Luck. I was like, no way, I actually saw that about a year ago on HBO Max. I thought it was really good. You actually had the writer and director of that movie working with you? That's crazy. So I just took it as a sign that the universe is kind of like speaking to me. So I immediately reached out to you on social media. I let you know how much of a fan of the film that I was of, and I found out that you lived all the way in California. You still do to this day. You're just in town for a festival and so on and so forth. But I was really looking forward to meeting you in person, and then finally a year later, this is happening. But I would just say that me being a fan of Abuelas Luck was actually the catalyst of why I really wanted to meet you, because I thought it was really well done, and we also know a whole bunch of mutual friends. But I'm happy to say that I have you here in studio for First Class, Second Place. It's been a long time coming.
Man. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I just remember doing it was Joe's Therapy Without a Degree, and you had come in. And then we just met, and then like after that, you were like, "Oh shit, that was
the guy." Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, thank you."
I know, right? All right, but we're actually getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. So let me try to stay the structure of the show that I created anyway.
Yeah.
This is me just getting a little bit carried away.
I got you.
So let me start off the show finally the way that I like to start off with everybody that comes on the show. So where does the story of Ricky Rosario begin? Like, where were you born and raised?
I'm born and raised in Jersey. Specifically, I was born in Hoboken, but I grew up in Union City.
Okay.
So I usually, Hudson County is home. So just, I grew up in Union City. I went to high school in Jersey City, and then I ended up doing college at Seton Hall in South Orange. So like Jersey, through and through is my home. But Hudson County, it's like, that's where I always say like I grew up in Hudson County,
And what was your personal experience for you personally growing up in Hudson County?
I mean, having a lot of fun with your friends and just kind of like no worry in the world, and honestly not knowing anything else outside of it. To be like, and obviously New York, like I think like New York was our global this is what the world looks like is New York City, and that was always like the idea or the thought, even going over the bridge or going through the tunnel. It's just like, let's just go over to New York, and it's like it's a whole new world of things happening. You know what I'm saying? And so even, when I finally got to like work there too, as I got older, it was like, oh shit, like this is, this is what I grew up around. This is what that was the dream. It's like work in the city and stuff like that.
Right. Now, when you were younger, did you, like what you're doing right now as far as filmmaking and production and everything, was that what you had in mind as a kid? Was those your dreams and aspirations, or what other, if there was anything else, what were they instead?
Yeah, no, I did not want to be a filmmaker when I was younger. Not that I didn't want to, I didn't know that was a thing.
Right.
Growing up, I always thought I was going to play basketball. I thought I was going to be, I didn't grow. I'm only 5'5", so I didn't actually. But I was.
Muggsy Bogues was able to play.
Hey, Earl Boykins was a guy I used to love because he was 5'5", playing for the Nuggets, But I always just loved basketball. I played basketball all my life, up to high school, I ended up like not playing anymore. And then when I got into college, I started seeing like, oh, these guys are like, like this is what real like athletes look like, and like what basketball players or potential basketball professional players look like or play like. And I was like, oh, I'm nowhere near that. You know what I mean? Now, granted, if I had somebody like on my ass to like get better or something like that, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll be somewhere. But nah, man, I was always, growing up, I was always infatuated with this idea of playing basketball. And I think it wasn't until I got into college where, realizing that dream couldn't happen. And not that I was going to try out or anything like that. Right. But just realizing like, okay, I have to like consider something else. But even in college, I didn't think about filmmaking.
Right, because if I understand, you went for a degree in finance and marketing.
Yeah, finance and marketing. So I was always about business. So like growing up, my mom owned a salon. She still did up to this day, but now we like renovated it to something else. But seeing my mom, like I didn't realize like, oh shit, my mom's like an entrepreneur. Like she's out here just like running her own business and stuff like that. So I was always infatuated with business, and like once I got to school and I found out like, oh, I could study it, I really learned about like, oh, everything's a business. Everything works in a certain way. People, create their own companies, whether it's selling a service or selling a product or, whatever the case is. Like,
right.
Everything you're interacting with is a business,
And I think that we're realizing that more than ever, because I think when we weren't privy to it when we were younger, the generation, our generation or the generation before us, business owning was more like, maybe like a mom and pop place, or we didn't think of it as necessarily as some sort of conglomerate, or how potential it could be to be a conglomerate, or, it could, like, we're discovering now new avenues of how we could become entrepreneurs. It's not relegated to just having like a bodega or a gym or, any kind of store per se, we're finding more and more now that, even in this podcast studio, Bravery Studios, this is entrepreneurial, Exactly.
I love that. They got a little tag. I love it.
Yeah, we do have sound effects here.
I love it. I've been hearing it since the beginning, man. I was like, whoa, are we on 97?
Yeah. So when you decided to go for finance and marketing, like, what did you think you were going to do with that?
I was going to work in an investment bank. That's literally my thought.
Just the look on your face, you knew it was going to be very menial and like.
Yeah, and look, I started interning my sophomore year of college. Like I worked at Sony Music, but it was like in the accounting department. So still not like, but I was still, I was getting able to see like, what's a label's artist is spending with their management or whatever for dinners, so that was really cool. Like I remember one time we got a receipt from like Pink's management or something, and it was like Pink and her team, and I was like, I don't know what the number was, but let's say it was like $600, and it was like, what the hell? And my boss was like, oh yeah, we just write that off, that's like that's a work dinner kind of thing. I was like, oh. So I started learning about that, but yeah, I interned very early on, and I want to give like a quick shout out to like my fraternity. So I'm part of a business fraternity, and I want to say like I got that internship through one of my brothers in my fraternity because they were working at Sony. So I always wanted to be in business at first. That was the whole goal.
Right.
And I think as the years went on, I definitely leaned more towards entertainment. And I think that's where I picked up marketing, because I first picked up finance. It was only finance.
Right. So
then once I started interning, I was like, oh, there's like a media portion. Like I don't like, how can I get into media? Then that's when I picked up marketing.
I see.
Yeah.
So you're definitely a math whiz, which I am not. I mean, I always say all the time that the reason that I don't have a college degree is because I was in danger of failing algebra 3 times, and I just kept on dropping each time. So I don't want to get into all. That's a whole new can of worms that we don't need to open right now. But either way, I've learned that not just with me, but all the other people in my circle that, not saying that having an education is not a good thing, because I think it is, but I think we're learning now that it's not the end all be all.
No, it isn't. I think it's more of a understanding like what you want to, I don't say what you want to do. Like a lot of people don't know what you want to do right away, or, it takes a minute for people to know what they want to do, but it's more or less like, what is your interest? Like,
right. Yeah.
I was having a conversation with my little cousins, and hopefully he hears this, but I was having a conversation with him, and he just started college, and he's like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, well, he loves basketball. I'm like, you could work in basketball, right? Like if you study sports management, that's it. You don't have to be a basketball player. Like, what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to make it. It's okay. It's not a bad thing, but you could study sports management, and that gets you in the door.
Right.
Like that's it. That gets you in the door of sports, and then after that, it's up to you,
Yeah, you know what it is? It's just that when we're young, we have these delusions and grandeur. Like when, as soon as we decide that we're going to be in adults, it's just going to happen with the snap of a finger, you know? We're, you know, reality hits us pretty early on. And then afterwards we realize that it's not a race, it's a marathon.
No, yeah. It's definitely a marathon, man. Yeah, it's a journey. And I think, yeah, you get into, especially graduating high school and getting into college, you're like, oh, I'm in college and I'm going to know what I'm doing right away. And it doesn't really work that way. And you know, I think even to the point now, a lot of the stuff that I've done throughout my life have led to the point where I am now, where like even some of the people I've been able to meet and stuff like that has all started with just like me taking on opportunities that wasn't going to be what I wanted to do, but it allowed me to just like meet certain people or like do certain things, you know. Going back to the basketball sports management thing, like I was a ball boy for the Nets my senior year of college.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that only happened because one of like my friends who was in my business fraternity, like she was working with the Nets and she was dealing with like the VIP stuff, like just like getting people together for like stuff like that. Right. But through her, she was like, hey, there's ball boy opportunities. And I was like, you know what? It's my senior year.
Yeah, why not?
I'm probably never going to do this again. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And by far, you know, sorry to whoever's going to hear this, my friend, but like by far, like one of the best jobs I ever had.
Right.
Granted, I've done a lot of great jobs up to this point, but it was just so cool to get paid to watch like the sport that I love.
Yeah.
Sitting courtside. You know, that time, like, Derrick Rose was MVP. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just, like,
wow.
a time. It was just, like, a time. And, like, now that I think back on it, I'm like, whoa. You know, I was there when Kim Kardashian and this guy got together.
Oh, wow. Chris Humphries.
Yeah. I was there for all that. You know, that was the first year of LeBron in Miami. Like, and I got to see them come through and stuff like that. Right. You know, again, it was opportunity from someone I knew. I knew I didn't want to be a ball boy for the rest of my life, but it was something cool that I could be like, hey, I worked for the Nets, and that's like a beautiful thing, like I could say.
Yeah, you know, like when you have like, do you have any children right now?
No, not
okay,
yet.
So when you do eventually have children, that'll be something that you could share with your kids. Like, hey, I got to see LeBron James play. Like,
bro, that was year one of him in Miami. That was that year. I remember they came preseason too. I got to be in the locker room with them. I dapped it up to D Wade because I gave him a face towel. Like, you know. Okay.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I'm a Knicks fan, so I don't really care too much.
I don't care about this stuff.
I don't care about the Heat so much. But we haven't had anything to be proud of in quite some time. So, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I don't know if you're aware, but I'm actually an aspiring filmmaker myself.
Yeah. I saw you were shooting something recently.
Yes. So let me give you a little bit of backstory, and it's also going to lead into a question.
And you're not aspiring; you're a filmmaker.
I appreciate that.
Okay, just say if you're doing it, you're a filmmaker.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Yeah, he concurs. So let me give you a little bit of backstory, and then afterwards I'll shift it into a question. So around the age of 8 or 9 years old, I pretty much made in my mind that I actually wanted to direct because I saw Die Hard with a Vengeance and I saw True Lies. Nice. And not only did I see those two movies, but I was actually able to see the making of featurettes, and I got to see how John McTiernan and James Cameron got to make those movies. And I was always a huge action junkie, and I had dreams of, you know, having the opportunity to direct like this big action spectacle that Michael Bay is pretty much known for these days. And I kept on talking all this hype and everything about how this is what I want to do with my career, and but the unfortunate thing is that I never took any strides into it. Like I never even, you know, auditioned for anything, you know, to direct a play at a high school or anything like that. I didn't even get a camera or anything like that. I didn't even start anything small. I just was very delusional, for lack of a better term, where I just thought that, you know, when I grow up I'll just figure it out as I go. But there's so much more that goes into it and everything, and then life just happens in general, and then you realize that maybe it's just not for you. And also, I've talked about on the show before how I let discouragement from others in my circle let me feel like it's not something that's attainable, so I let it affect me in the long run. But fast forward to now, you know, what I'm really thankful for as far as this podcast is concerned is that it has allowed me to spread out my wings, so to speak, and being able to market and network myself and meet all these other people. And long story short, I was able to go to an event where I met all these filmmakers and writers and actors and stuff. And that's how I was able to link up with the people that has given me the opportunity to direct my first project. And I'm very, very fortunate and humbled about it. And one thing I will say is that there's a lot more to it than people realize, even that I thought. And I thought I knew it all based on all the featurettes that I watched and everything. I thought I was an encyclopedia with the shit, but no. And it is definitely given me a lot more respect of what you guys do.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's the, going back to what you said, like you had the discouragement because no one understands and
Right.
you don't have the proper guidance. That's something that I feel like, oh man, if there's one thing I could do is just to, like, somehow let everyone at home know, like, hey, you could do it too. Just like,
Right.
just like understand you're not gonna be Martin Scorsese from one day to the next. Like,
Right.
you have to just like keep chipping away in certain things, and like you might have to do shitty jobs, and that's okay. Like I've PA'd where I had to pick up shit, and like it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, and that's okay. But you get in the mix, you learn, you meet new people, you start seeing the like systems and like how it works and stuff like that, and that's it.
Yeah. So the question that I'm leading into now is, since this is not something that you had thought of at an early age, like I did, how did you fall into it, and how did you end up having finding a love and a passion for it in the end?
Yeah. So in college, like I said, I started like studying marketing, and through that, I was able to start interning, at entertainment companies. And outside of Sony, my next internship was at NBC University, NBCU. I was to say NBC University, NBCU.
NBC Universal, yeah.
Yeah, NBC Universal. And that was my first internship. It was with the research department. Very boring work, but shout out to Betty Diaz, who like basically gave me my first foot in. And ever since that, like, I give her a lot of credit for like giving me that opportunity, because after that I got another internship at NBC, but now I was with Telemundo. And then, that allowed me to get my job after I graduated, because I had that experience so far at NBCU. So being at NBC definitely opened my eyes to the world of entertainment, even though I wasn't filming or anything, but it like, I saw like the back works of it, where it's like the business side, right? Like the research side, My first internship, a big thing that was happening was like the Olympics. So I was helping out with like finding out research for the Olympics, like how many people are watching it on their phones. At the time, that was still a thing. This was what, 2000, I want to say 2007, no, 2000, shit, I'm losing. 2007, 2008, something like that.
Okay. Still around the MySpace days.
Yeah, exactly. Still MySpace days, but also like the early days of like viewership on phones. But there were still numbers for that. There were still like 600,000 people are watching this or that or whatever. So that was really cool to see that, and like learning that there's like these huge like databases that these companies are paying for to get all this information, like with Nielsen and stuff like that, which I'm sure, do you know what Nielsen is?
The Nielsen ratings.
Yeah, like the Nielsen rating stuff. Like, so that whole thing, right? Like learning that and learning like that's how people find out like what's doing good or what's So, learning all that, and then the internships were great. Then my internship with Telemundo, I had it was with Yanith. She's amazing. I call her my work mom, because she was the one that was like, if you want to do something, like if you want to do more than this, like figure it out. But like you're here, make the connections, meet the people. And she was the person that got me introduced to like my mentor at NBC. His name is Val Nicholas, and super amazing guy. He's from the West Coast, but he was a VP at MSNBC.
Oh, okay.
So, and having him as my mentor, the reason why she connected us was because I told her, I was like, hey, I'm thinking about this production thing. I don't know like where to go, how to start, what to do. And she was like, let me connect you with this guy, he be a sponge with him, ask him questions, but whatever. So, and my relationship with him, when I was younger, his main thing was like, you just have to do it. Like, you just have to like throw yourself, like whether it's in New York or LA, like just do it. Just like production. Like, he's like, look at me, like I'm here now, but I've been doing this since I was like 20, like he was just like telling me the thing, like I didn't get here just out of nowhere. Like I've been doing this for a long time, so. And one of his advice at the time for me was like to go to LA just to like get to learn the business more of like production. And then he was like, after that, you could go wherever you want. Yeah. You could go to New York, you could go to wherever, like you could go wherever, as long as you learn like the business of filmmaking.
Yeah, and that's actually, I think, is very prevalent because, at the end of the day, as much as we love being creators, it is a business at the end of the day. Numbers, and you being a numbers guy anyway, that I feel it's like it goes hand in hand in some way, shape, or form. Yeah,
it's weird how that happens. Yeah, yeah, it's really weird. And me being a numbers guy, like it helped me a lot producing. Like I really credit producing as like really helping me learn how to be a director, because in producing I'm learning like, oh, what can or can't we do with the money we have or don't have, right? Like if somebody wants to do a helicopter crash out of nowhere, we don't have that with just $500. Like, what can we shoot with $500? You know what I mean? Like, so those things are like those little elements of filmmaking I really started to like learn as I started doing things, even things with my friends or just like shooting like small little shorts or something like that never see the light of day, but we're like, hey, how much can we do this for a weekend? Is it $200 just to pay people or just get food for people, whatever the case is? Do we have a free camera? Who has stuff like that.
Right.
But producing, going back to like the numbers thing, like that's what producing, that's what helped me with like, okay.
You know what it kind of reminds me of, and since you're a basketball guy, I think that you'll appreciate this analogy. And I just thought of it right now. So you had Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul, who had that historic game where he scored 81 points. Yeah. So, but the thing is that it's like it's almost like you have to also account for all the shots that he took in practice and at his home and so on and so forth. So you kind of saying about how like you have to do all these things to kind of like get your foot in the door and so on and so forth. I mean, if Kobe Bryant just didn't keep on, making those shots in practice and at home and just, just for shits and giggles, instead of not being on the court in an actual game, who knows if those 81 points would have came, So it all leads up to something,
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm a big Michael Jordan fan. So there was a book I read of his when I was younger. I think I was still in college at the time. Out of the whole book, the one thing that stuck out to me was that he approached each game basically like, I just have to score 8 points a quarter. 8 points a quarter is 32 points.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that it just don't matter how, whether it's free throws or I get a couple, but like that was his like thing. Like, let me score 8 points a quarter.
And this before the 3-pointer became a big thing.
No, I'm saying I'm saying Michael Jordan just like the 3-pointer was a thing, and he wasn't the best 3-point scorer, but but it was like if I could get a couple threes, great. But if I know I could get to the line a couple times, great. As long as I could get to 8 points, the very minimum 8 points a quarter, I'm gonna get 30 points. Like. And that's crazy because right. Anytime we see someone score 30 points, it's like, whoa, they had an incredible game. But if you think about it, that's it. It's just 8 points a quarter, and that really stuck out to me. Where it was like, oh, okay, there's a way to like, if you want to do a thing, break it down to like its most minimalistic like idea or thought, and then like attack that, and then it'll keep adding on and like it'll snowball kind of thing,
Absolutely, yeah. No, I totally agree with you, and I think that's one of the things that I realized, not just with content creating like podcasting or whatever, but just in life in general. Like I mentioned this before on many occasions on the show, that when I first started the podcast, the very first episode that I recorded was in my apartment closet because it was soundproof. It was audio only. It was only 5 minutes, and this is episode 107 now, and look how it's been able to ascend. So.
We're in a whole studio situation right now. Like, this is amazing. Look at this lighting on me. I look great.
What do you call this system again? OBS?
OBS.
There you go.
OBS.
Yeah. See, I'm a sponge also.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I also read about you, which I thought was I thought was very important.
I'm scared.
No, don't worry about it. Yeah. I've done my research before and everything. But one of the things that I love is that somebody asked you, is there a characteristic or quality that you feel is essential to success? Your answer was patience, a whole lot of patience.
Wow, which one was that from? I'm like, that's crazy. That's so funny. I mean, I think people don't realize like getting, not being patient is what causes people to get upset and like discouraged.
Yeah, especially since we live in this world of instant gratification. We're everything is so accessible and so quick to us now that if it doesn't happen within a moment's notice, then it leads to discouragement and disappointment and this, that, and the third.
Yeah, and again, being discouraged or disappointed, like you're causing yourself to feel that way. It's no one else is doing that for you. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I think the patience quote comment is more like understanding that patience goes a long way. And patience is actually what could help you get even like further if you're just understanding like, okay, you know what? Just take it how it is, adjust, pivot, be patient, but don't blow up and get mad because this thing didn't happen or that didn't happen or whatever. Like, even up to this point in my life, people are like, oh, how come you haven't done this or that? I'm like, it's okay. Like the time's going to come. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's fine. I haven't done my first feature yet. That's fine. Like the time will come. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. I mean, shit, I didn't direct my first project until I was 37. And this is something that I said that I wanted to do when I was 9 years old.
And you felt good doing it. You probably learned a lot leading up to it. Now you learned even more doing it.
Right.
And now you're like, all right, let me tackle the next time, you get to do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like it's to me, I'm a guy that's all about actions over words, and I know they were just words coming out of your mouth, but it was an effect on from my actions because it did really feel good. I must say that when you said that I'm not an aspiring filmmaker, I am a filmmaker, and you kind of made me realize for a second like that. You know what? It's true because I actually did do the work. So
you did you did the work more than the person that's like yourself, right? You're like, 9 years old, but didn't pick up a camera, didn't do whatever. Like, you're doing more than that person.
Right.
Even someone that maybe is 20-something or 30-something that hasn't picked up a camera.
Right. And you know what?
I mean?
And you know what? I also realized that this is what I mean by that. I feel like I have a lot more respect for what filmmakers do. So let me give you an example. So I went to a movie premiere about a year ago for this independent film for some people that I know were involved in it. And needless to say, I don't want to put them out. I don't want to say their names or the name of the movie, but what I will say is that it was probably the worst fucking movie I've ever seen in my life.
God.
It was so horrible. But however, the silver lining here is I got to give them their credit and I got to give them their respect because they actually did something that a lot of people wish they could say they did, and they went out and did it, regardless of what the the cards that they were dealt, or maybe what I don't know. Maybe they had budget constraints, or maybe they just weren't talented enough. I don't know the intricacies. I just know that even though it may be the worst fucking movie I've ever seen in my life, I gotta tip my hat for actually going ahead and doing it.
Absolutely.
As opposed to just somebody just saying like, oh, one day it'll happen.
Yeah, no, bro. The shittiest movie is still the hardest thing to do. Like that's what, like, one of my friends always makes fun of me because he's like, do you hate any movie? Because I'm always like very kind of like, oh, okay, that was all right, or that was whatever, or I'm never really like, I hate this movie, because I'll always find something that I enjoy or I like or I'm inspired by, even though it's a shitty movie. But there was maybe one scene where I was like, oh, that was a nice shot.
Yeah.
And
like,
cool, great.
And isn't it also funny as cinephiles, like sometimes you'll have a very critically acclaimed film like The English Patient or Saving Private Ryan, and you maybe seen him like maybe 2 or 3 times, but I've seen like fucking Grown Ups like 48 times or something like that.
Yeah. But that's okay, right? That's something that you find entertaining or you like to watch, or I'm sure maybe it's like the dialogue of that is something you love, right? Rather than the dialogue of The English Patient. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's okay. Someone that I really like used to study a lot when I was like getting into filmmaking, like outside like Martin Scorsese and Spike Lee, which are like, kind of like my top guys. Judd Apatow was one where I was just like, this guy, he started with just interviewing comedians when he was in high school. Like that was his thing, like he has a book about it now and stuff, like. And then again, just those relationships he built, or like that world he got into, allowed him to again just continue tapping into like writing for comedians, or writing to be a comedian, or writing comedic movies, and like now he's one of the comedic masterminds, whatever. Like how you want to look at him, but it all started for him just like, I want to interview comedians. Like he interviewed Jerry Seinfeld before, like Jerry Seinfeld was Jerry Seinfeld. You know what I mean? Like
him and Adam Sandler, I think were college roommates.
Yeah,
as well.
They were college roommates at one time. So like. That's why I always try to tell people, like, you see whoever you like are inspired by, like look at their history, like really read it, really research it and look into it and study it. They didn't just wake up and Adam Sandler's Adam Sandler. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they didn't just wake up out of nowhere and now Netflix is paying them $100 million. Like, no, look at what they did. Look how long it took them. Like, understand that. I think a lot of people, going back to the patience part, people get impatient about that. And they're like, well, I just want, no, but that's, if this person was impatient, they probably wouldn't be here either. So like, understand that.
Right. And I also feel like if you don't have that patience in the beginning, then maybe you really didn't have a knack or a passion for it at all, because you would fight for that motherfucker. You would actually do whatever it takes, no matter how long it takes, in order to get what you want done.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
that's the way that I feel. So yeah, we were talking about a shitty movie earlier, but let me tell you about a movie that is certainly not shitty, and that is Abuelas Luck. So like I alluded to before, I just happened to find it on HBO Max, and
it helped that it was so like I know a lot of people were like, oh, exactly. First movie. I was like, I'll take it.
You know what? And
that was not even on purpose. I was like, I'll take it. Every time I saw it first, I was like, oh, cool, I'll take it.
But you know what? I'm so glad you said that, because that's exactly what happened to me. Yeah. Like, I'm trying to look for something on HBO Max, and I'm going through alphabetical order.
Yeah. No, a couple people said it, like, wow, Ricky, good job. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, it's the first thing I see. I'm like, oh, yo, not intentional, guys. Not intentional.
Right. God bless the Spanish people, man.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, so I guess I wanted to talk about it a little bit more because like I saw the film and I enjoyed it, but there was not much that I could read about it or learn about the behind the scenes and stuff like that. So but I know this isn't your first project. I mean, you've had others as well, but this is the one that I've known you for, and this is the one that you submitted to festivals and so on and so forth. I guess I want to know, what was the inspiration behind Abuelas Luck for you?
Yeah. A huge inspiration was definitely being away from family. Living in LA, as many people know, there's not a lot of bodegas.
Right.
You know, it's just like liquor stores or like whatever, supermarkets or something like that. So
Yeah.
there's not a lot of Chinese spots. Yeah, or Chinese spots. So there's not a lot of bodegas, and excuse me. I was very inspired to write something that was close to home for me. And, you know, me buying scratch offs for my grandmother was just always a thing. And, you know, and that was like, cool, okay. And then again, as, you know, becoming a filmmaker, and, you know, at the time, like I was saying to myself too, I'm an inspiring filmmaker because I didn't know, you know, what I was doing or what to do. But I would see certain movies, or I would hear about certain ways, like, oh, if you know, write something with just one location, or write something that's like, you know, more contained because, you know, you don't have the budget to do all these things. So that was the inspiration to write, where I was like, you know what, let me write something that is small, can be feasible. Up until that point, that was when I started writing it, was 2015. And that was already me being 2 years in LA, because I moved to LA 2013.
Okay.
So after just like me just working on sets and stuff like that, I was like, you know what? Let me take a stab at writing my own thing. Let me write my own thing. So 2015, you know, we didn't start shooting. We didn't start like raising money and all that stuff until like 2017, 2018 or whatever. You know, and so in all those years, like I could have probably shot it earlier and could have done, but for whatever reason, I was like, no, I want to approach it like a business in a way where I was like, I'm going to raise the money, I'm going to do the thing. And, you know, thankfully, a lot of our family and friends were very supportive. And like by ours, like me, you know, one of my best friends, Gary, the DP, like, you know, we're both from Jersey. So it was a very like home thing for us to work together on, you know, it was close for us. You know, even the bodega we shot at was actually someone that like, a family friend of his, or like a friend that his family knew and stuff like that. So, you know, it was definitely a lot of that where I felt like I knew I had to do my own thing to feel like, oh, I could say I'm a director, or I'm a writer, I'm a producer. You know, I want to give a lot of credit to like I took a lot of production classes, like different types of production classes. So like before I left to LA, I was taking classes at NYU to learn production. So I got to learn budgeting and stuff like that. And when I moved to LA, I also took classes at USC, like summer classes. Same thing, just like learning about the business of film and TV. So all these things, like all this information, all these resources are like all culminated into like, all right, now that I've been able to pick at all these things, how can I apply it to myself? Like, how can I apply it to my own work and figure out how to like make a name for myself in my own way?
Right.
You know, so, you know, yeah, a huge inspiration was just missing the family and, wanting to find a way to like have a voice, you know?
Yeah.
And that was my first attempt. I had shot certain things before that just never will see the light of day, and it's just like
Blind Dating Sucks.
Yeah. No, Blind Dating Sucks is great. Shout out to David, and that was something that, you know, he David's great, man. I still work with David to this day in different capacities, but he's the one that did my pins and my hats and stuff like that.
Nice.
For Abuelas Luck. So he's a very good friend of mine. But no, there was like other stuff I did even before I left that just like wouldn't see that, like they're just like whatever random stuff. But then I realized, like, all right, there's a difference between just like shooting stuff for fun and then shooting stuff like the way, you know, goes to festivals. And, you know, you're learning about people buying stuff at festivals or whatever. And then you're like, okay, cool. This is like the ecosystem of this world. There's like, you know, a film gets made, it gets to a certain like platform or a certain like festival, and then it gets to, you know, then it gets their like distribution or whatever. So I was like, okay, that's a way to do it. Obviously, this is like before YouTube is a huge thing and stuff like that, which at the time when I did Abuelas Luck, a lot of people were telling me to put it up on YouTube, which I'm glad I didn't at the time, because that's what allowed me for it to get like bought by HBO. Because at the time, you know, a lot of times they don't want people to like, you know, they want to have like the exclusive rights to the content kind of thing, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you know, it was something that I knew I could do if I just was disciplined about it And a lot of my friends in LA will tell you, like, I never went out. I stayed home a lot. I was watching a lot of movies at the time. I was reading a lot. I was like breaking down scripts like a maniac, like just really just
doing
like
your homework.
Yeah, doing the homework. Because I was like, I'm gonna attempt to do this one time and I'm gonna get it right. I appreciate my background in finance and like my business school because that's what allowed me to raise the money properly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like so we made the movie for like $8,000 it was.
Okay.
And me making out this budget for $8,000, I was like, okay, $8,000, but I'm just not gonna ask for the $8,000 right away. Let me like try to break it up in parts. So it was like, you know, first let's reach out to friends and family. Cool. Off of that, we got 3 to 4 off rip. Just like, there you go. That's almost half already. And like, we haven't even showed it to the public yet to like raise money, you know? And then after that, we did another. So the first round was GoFundMe with family and friends.
Right.
So we did that. And then, like I said, we raised like the $3,000 or whatever it was. And then I was like, all right, now we'll do an Indiegogo for the public. Cool. Raise a couple more grand from that. And then we did like an actual fundraiser where I was like, let's do a bodega themed fundraiser. You know, I had my friends like, you know, Rob and Steve that like were DJs and stuff and hosts and stuff like that. I'm like, let's have them host a party, DJ the party, and like I'll do videos and photos just to like dress it up and like put the theme or whatever. And off of that, we raised like another 2. So like there we're good. We're straight. We got all the money we needed to make the movie, and then we're making the movie. So, but that way of raising money was my like finance background. Of like, investing or like raising money or like raising money for a business kind of thing, you know? So that's what allowed me to like break it out in that way, you know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, you know, it's hard to raise money, man. Like it's really, really hard to raise money. It's very, very hard.
Yeah.
You know,
I could understand that.
And I don't think I could like redo it again in that way. Like I know I'm gonna have to approach it differently and a different strategy. But, you know, again, like I said, it was like I was like, the one time that I could do it, let me try to just like get it right like this, you know?
Yeah, and bravo to you, man, because it was very well received and everything.
Thank
now, the interesting thing also. Sorry, get a little applause for you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, Steve. Shout out to Steve back there. Shout out to Steve.
Steve is the best, man. I love Steve. So when I was actually directing the episode of Nights season 3, which should be out on Halloween 2023.
Nice. Here we go. Yeah.
I noticed that I filmed an entire episode. The entire episode is probably about, I don't know, maybe 25 minutes, maybe under that.
Okay.
And it was basically 3 days worth of work, you know, like, so we're basically doing an entire 3-day schedule just to film a whole bunch of like 25 minutes into one thing. Abuelas Luck is 9 minutes long.
Yeah.
How long was the filming process for you making that film?
We shot it in 3 days. But we did a lot of prep. Like, you know, me and Gary did a lot of prep, just like how we're going to shoot it. How can we shoot in and out? Because, you know, we couldn't close down the bodega. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had to, like, you know, we had to
keep it
quick,
operational. Yeah, absolutely.
Operational. Like, there was even a situation where, like, the owner of the building came down, like, tried to shut us down and stuff like that. Yeah. A lot of people don't know about this story. But, yeah, man, in the middle of shooting, basically, the owner of the building was like, hey, you guys didn't have permission to shoot here. And we're like, well, we did. We spoke to the bodega person. Like, well, no, I'm the owner of the building. And even though we're a small crew, like, we were out of minivans, like, nothing crazy, but he took it as like, oh, I know, I've seen Nike commercials that have been like this, so like, don't play with me, like. And he actually like not took money from us, but, you know, had us pay him like a couple grand to like.
It's almost like you had to pay the toll, essentially.
Yeah, and whatever, and it is what it is. I'm like, that was like a point in like my filmmaking life where I was like, I could have been really upset and shut it down and be like, you know what, fuck this guy. We're not gonna pay him, and we're just gonna leave. But I understand, like, to finish, like, we've gone too far. We've raised all this money. Like, if I have to go out of my pocket, I'll go out of my pocket. Fine, that's fine. Let's do it. You know, like, so, you know, one of my producers also helped. You know, they were like, let's just figure this out. Let's just pay this man. Let's finish our days and let's get this film done.
Yeah.
But that was a moment in time where I could have easily like got really upset and flipped out on this guy and been like, you know what? We're not gonna give you nothing. We're gonna get out of here. Fuck you. You know. So like, but that never happened. You know, and like I'm happy that never happened because then you know I'm not you know, then the film doesn't get finished and it doesn't happen. You know.
Right. I mean, it was just a small price to pay, essentially, what you had
exactly, a small price to pay for something that was so much bigger and ended up being so much bigger for not for myself, but just like for all of us that were involved and stuff like that. You know, so, going back to getting to those 3 days, yeah, it was just a lot of prep, you know. Up to that point, I have worked a lot on commercials. I worked a lot on like a lot of commercials, a lot of like, you know, music videos. And then on the side, I would do a couple like shorts with friends and stuff like that, you know. So in terms of what I appreciated the most about getting to the point to shoot my own film was that I had already worked with a lot of different departments and other jobs. Like one of my first jobs on a feature film was in the art department. I will never work art department ever again.
Okay.
It sucks. But I appreciate and I love a lot of art department people that I work with because I understand how hard their jobs are. Because I once did their jobs. Once I had to paint walls, I had to do just all that work that comes with art department. I've done it before. So leading up to Abuelas Luck, I had worked in different departments. I've also first AD'd, you know. I worked a little bit with lighting, nothing crazy, but I understand what it took for like, all right, whatever grip needs, whatever lighting needs, like all these little elements to make the film whole. I already knew like, okay, that's why even when I made my budget, all right, how much can we give to this? How much can we do for this? You know, hey, Gary, what equipment can we get? At the time, Gary was working at Panavision. So he was like, yo, we could get a good package for X amount of dollars. I was like, all right, like let's figure that out with the budget, right? Like a package that probably should have cost like 10 grand was only costing us like 1,200. You know, it was like,
wow.
You know, and that was just off of the relationship that he had there. And, you know, they hooked us up and you know, we got to use the Panavision logo and everything. You know what I'm saying? They hooked us up a lot.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and don't quote me on the number. It could have been less or more, but like, you know, they gave us a really good discount. But, you know, just understanding like truly what are the resources you have and like truly what can you work with? And if you can't work with it, you can't work with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is.
Now, let me ask you this. This is actually a little bit off topic, but it still kind of stays in the same realm. So I remember when we first spoke, maybe months ago, because I was interested in bringing you on on the show. You know, I was doing my research on you and everything, and I come to find out that you actually were a part of making the process. You worked in the as a location manager for the Ingrid Goes West film, which I thought was a really good film, very underrated. I just got to ask, what the fuck was Matt Spicer doing when he walked through a glass window?
When you told me that you knew about that, I was like, yo, I didn't even know that got out from the like crew. Like that's crazy to me. I still have photos of that.
I remember you sent me the photo of it, and that was living proof. Like, holy shit, he really did walk through a glass door.
Nah, man. I mean, it was a late night. It was, you know, it was like one of the overnight shoot kind of things, and he was just trying to go back inside. Like he just didn't see it. It was a beautiful home. It was like, you know, as an old school mid-century 1980s, 1970s home. But yeah, that film too, man. Again, just like even up to that point when I did that, you know, again I got to work locations. Totally different department, totally different area of doing things, but it taught me a lot in terms of just like what's needed to like make it run for the crew. Where is crew gonna park? You know, where can we park our trailers? You know, how much time do we have in and out? You know, what's our allotted time? What's overtime? You know, stuff like that. And you know, and that was a film that was like, I'm sure it's out there now, but I think it's like 1.5 or something. They did it for like 1.5 million, you know? And that was still very low budget, and we were moving every day. So every day was a new location. Every day I had to find a new parking lot. You know, and the locations team, it was me and like two of my buddies. And then eventually we had like two other people come on. But I was their assistant. So I was always like the person on set for them while they were getting everything together for the following days.
Nice.
So I was like their eyes and ears on set, which was cool because it got me on set. It got me close with the producers to work with the producers. Because then they're asking me like, hey, do we have our location for next week or whatever for tomorrow? Yo, Vinny, whatever. Like, are we good? Like they're asking, what do you need me to do here? Whatever, you know? So I definitely use that, or feel like that film helped me, like, I don't want to say graduate, but like it definitely helped me like learn a lot more of just like how even like $1 million is not a lot depending on what you're doing, but also like what it can get you if you really stretch it. Because like we had big names, right? Aubrey Plaza, you know, Ice Cream Sun, like all these, you know, Elizabeth Olsen, like all these people, and it's like, oh shit,
Wyatt Russell,
he's amazing, he's so funny, and like these guys are coming on, understanding that it's the situation, and still being super professional, super like whatever we have to do, and like you know, that was the first time too where I saw like the cast and like the names give back to the crew, because we always had like ice cream trucks after set. You know, one time O'Shea like got us like wings and shit like that.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was, you could tell like, oh, they're giving back to the crew, knowing that it's like such a rough shoot and it's a very low budget. And, you know, we're going 6 days on, 1 day off kind of thing. Like it was we did that movie in like in under a month. It was like 28 days or something like that.
Yeah.
And they had been prep, like I got on like early, I got on later in prep. Like they had already been prepping for months, obviously. And like, I don't know, maybe a year already. I got on like the month before we shot.
Nice.
So I got on with things already kind of moving, but then we did location scouts and stuff like that. And actually, like in the location scout, I actually got to drive with Matt Spicer.
Yeah, the director.
Yeah, the director. And shout out to him. I haven't talked to him in so long, but what I learned so much from him on that, even just that drive, you know, I asked him, I was like, how many scripts do you have ready? And he was like, I have like 10 scripts just ready to go. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, like this guy just like, he doesn't have just this one movie. He has 10 other movies that he could like pitch and give to people and ready to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you know, I'm not a screenwriter at all. Like I'm just not a writer. That's not what I do. I don't feel like I could tell story with words. I could tell it with with visual.
Visuals,
yeah. But I did read somewhere where there's another filmmaker by the name of Chris Stuckman where he had a whole bunch of scripts just ready to, like, he was just writing a lot, and he said that one of the reasons why it was great that he did it that way, and it wasn't even intentional, but it was good that he had plenty, because he would go to like producers and other people, and they'll be like, oh, we actually like the script, but it's actually a little bit too expensive for us to finance. Do you have anything else? And he was like, yes, I do. Yeah. So, you know, you can't just depend on just one thing. I always have multiple projects, because you never know who's going to be interested in whatever, you know?
No, 100%. And that's, you know, I learned just from that little conversation with him, you know, like, I'm sure he doesn't know how much that meant to me, but like it meant a lot. It's like, oh shit, like this is a guy that is doing this big movie, and yet he still has things ready to go. Because after this, you know, who knows what's like, he needs to just to pick up the next thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
that, and even knowing that, I still don't have 10 scripts ready to go myself. So like, you know, but it just taught me like, hey, have the stuff ready. You know, you can't just rely on the one thing that you're shooting at the moment. You can't just rely on the one like, oh, this is gonna be the one thing that gets me. You know, no, it just have as many things ready as possible, because you don't know which one's the one that's going to hit.
And I'm glad that you said that, because I feel like there are going to be people out there that, you know, maybe listen to this or watch this, and they're aspiring like, you know, what we do already. And I don't want them to get the sense that, all right, they made one project or they directed one thing, a music video, film, whatever, and then that's it. They made it in life. No, you got to stay consistent with it.
Exactly. I mean, if I were really to count the amount of projects I've been on, like I remember I tried to do that once, and I was like, this is like another job, to like try to list everything I've done. Yeah. Because everything I've done, yes, it allows you to learn to the point when you finally do your own stuff. Like, you know, so yeah, to what you're saying, it's not just that one project or that one job. Like, there's gonna be more. Yeah. Eventually, there'll be the one that, you know, and you know, thankfully for me, Abuelas Luck was that one project that like put my name out there. It honestly gave me the most confidence to feel like, oh, okay, I could do this, you know? You know, and, you know, being that I'm here for the New York Latino Film Festival, like, shout out to them, man. Like, they really gave me a lot of love with the film, and they really, you know, they really pushed me to feel confident as a filmmaker that I could do this. I'm part of this community. I am a filmmaker, right? Like, again, going back to that, I am a filmmaker. I am doing the thing. I'm just early in my career, and I just have to, you know, keep doing it. That's it. You know, like, that's it.
I love that. Yeah, I love to hear it. Now, another thing that I know besides writing and just also directing is that, you know, you mentioned, you alluded to before that, you know, you've dipped your toe into producing. And I know that one thing that you were a really big proponent of, and also, you know, a big part of as far as like producing is concerned, is the Life with CTE, a Warren Sapp story.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So if you're a football fan like I am, you obviously know who Warren Sapp is, and you know the whole thing with CTE that's been going on for years, maybe decades now. It seems. What would you say is your role? Because I don't necessarily produce. I don't know what it entails completely. But what was your duties when it came to that short film, that documentary?
Shout out to Mike Mentor, which is again another product of Hudson County. You know, he's from North Bergen.
Nice.
So, You know, he's doing great things right now. You know, he was just working on Winning Time, and he actually worked on
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he was working as a talent PA stuff on Winning Time. But honestly, that was with Mike. But Mike was also a PA on Abuelas Luck, and like, he told me all the time. He's like, "Yo, Rick, that was like the first production I ever got to work on," and like, it really helped him like see the world of production just with me and Gary shooting this little short.
Yeah.
So that helped. I know he had other mentors and he's worked with other people, but he always says like, "Yo, working on Abuelas Luck, like really, like I saw my friends from home doing it, and it helped. It pushed him to like do it." So. But he had a relationship with Warren Sapp because he produced a podcast for him.
Oh, okay.
Warren Sapp used to have a podcast, and Mike through just I think through his college, he like met him through other friends, something like that. Because Mike was also actually an athlete in college. He played football. So one of his like teammates' parents knew Sapp, and that's how that relationship happened.
Got you.
But in Mike working with Warren Sapp, he would see the CCE happen like all the time. He would say like, "Yo, I'd be doing it," and he's like, he just goes blank, like, and no one knows why he's going blank or like why he's forgetting stuff. So he felt that there was a story there, and he would reach out to me and Gary and be like, "Yo, I think we could do this documentary. If you guys could help me put it together." Gary DP'd it, Gary shot it. Where I came in was like helping Mike just coordinate and put the pieces together, right? So it's like, what are our dates? What can we do? Who can we get involved? How much time do we really have to do these interviews, stuff like that, and now in like the post-production side, it's like, all right, how does the poster look? How can we who can we submit to for film festivals, stuff like that. What can we do for videos or trailers? Like on that film, like that's my role as a producer, is to like just help him, get the piece together, get it out, get it seen, and shooting it was just like helping him. This like I even shot myself. Like if you look at the credits, I'm like B camera and something.
Okay.
So, yeah. So it's like, it was a very all hands on deck kind of film, and that was such a fun experience because everybody that was on it was all Hudson County. He literally brought out all our friends from North Bergen. Like all of us came out to Florida to shoot that thing, and it was a very beautiful experience to like do that with people that I had grown up with, all my life, and working with them in that capacity, especially for a project with like a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, one of the greats.
Like, we're at the stadium and his name is up at the thing, and we're like, this is crazy. Like nah, and we're on the ship thing at the Tampa Bay, like crazy. Then we're going to like the trophy room and he's looking at his statue, and I'm like, this is crazy.
This is crazy.
But no, shout out to Mike, man. He I appreciate him, confiding in me and like trusting in me to like help him put this vision together. And we're still waiting to hear back from a couple festivals, and we screened a little bit already, and I know he's also like working on trying to like grow it in a certain way. So I'm very happy to be involved with that process, and again, just very, very humbled that someone would trust in me to like help with that.
That's beautiful, man. I'm happy for you, man. I hope it really goes, really well. And I think it is an important story to tell, not just from a football aspect.
No,
but
CT,
just
yeah. I learned a lot, man. I learned a lot. Where now even like I have a little cousin that's playing football, and I'm like, should he be hitting right now? He's only like 13. Like, you know what I mean? Like it really taught me a lot about the whole CTE thing, and you never think about it because we all grow up with Papa Warner, right? And just
yeah.
So, but it really taught me a lot, and shout out to Sapp, man. He's really an advocate of like. He's not saying no, don't play football. He's just saying don't let the kids hit so early. That's it. Yeah. Don't let them hit them heads so early. That's it. Right. When they get into high school, let them fucking bash their heads. But like when they're 10, 11, like they shouldn't be doing that. And he's right. Their brains are still growing. They're still forming. There's, Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, no, it's a great project, man. I'm glad that you like. I mean, I didn't know you played football. Look at that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, what is next for Ricky Rosario? I know that you got the Super Hair that's out in the New York Film Festival.
Man. Super Hair right now is at the New York Latino Film Festival, which I know this probably won't come out in time for it, but we're screening this Saturday.
Yeah, no,
September 23rd. But
yeah, this episode already been it already passed by the time this episode.
So by the time this is on, it already screened. And I hope you saw it. But no, shout out Glenise Hunter, a really good friend, super talented writer, director, and actress. She's actually someone, again, that also went to the New York Latino Film Festival after we did Abuelas Luck, like the year after us. She had I think it was like a web series at the time, and her and Gary connected, and then whatever pandemic happened, all that stuff, and then she ended up moving to LA, and then in her moving to LA, I think she reconnected with Gary, and you know, we actually did a film before Super Hair, and called Breathe, and you know that's where we created our work relationship, and the way Super Hair happened was she submitted to an inclusion fellowship with Lalif, you know, shout out to Lalif, it's like Los Angeles Latino. I know it's like a whole
yeah.
But it's basically the Los Angeles Latino Film Festival.
Okay.
And they have a partnership with Netflix where they do an inclusion like diversity fellowship where Netflix invests or funds 10 films. I think it's about like 10 films, and we were one of them, and she got in and she was able to pick her team. And again, another appreciation of like anytime someone reaches out to me to come in to help their vision, I am more than humbled and more than like just grateful. Like, hey, you know, this is where like the producer in me is just like, I'm here to help your vision.
Right.
It's not about what I think should be. I'll give you an opinion that I think fits what you want. Like my goal isn't to tell you how I want to shoot it. It's more about like, what is it that you want? How can we achieve that? You know? So yeah, Super Hair, you know, we've been going to festivals. We're still waiting on a couple more. You know, it's been a homecoming for us at the New York Latino Film Festival, being that we've already had projects in the past.
Yeah.
So it's been very nice, man. It's become a little family, you know, community of like just every year being able to see some of the same faces and even new faces, and just like, oh, we're all doing this and we're all helping each other out. We're all, you know, we're all making things. We're all promoting each other. We're all wanting to collaborate with each other in different areas, you know. So, but yeah, Super Hair, it comes from her experience dealing with curly hair as a little girl, you know, and the film dives into that. There's like this little Dominican girl that doesn't love her curly hair. Yeah. And her mother had just passed, and, you know, in her hate for her hair, she ends up like, you know, finding this like magical comb that ends up like really showing her like the true power she possesses with, you know, where she comes from.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I certainly can't wait to see it, man. I mean, I even just from the premise alone, it sounds very interesting. It sounds very original, and I'm always going to be supportive, especially of Latino directors and filmmakers and so on and so forth, because it's a real beautiful and really cool community. And I definitely feel like I could say this because not only am I been able to speak with you, but I've spoken to Ramon Pasante, Lana J, Rachel La Loca, Black Rose, Miku Kutasu. You know,
but see, like all those people, all those relationships came from the festival.
Right.
Like that's how I met them. Literally, that's how I met these people, is like I've created those amazing relationships and friendships through this festival.
Right. And what's even crazy is that like I haven't been to this festival yet, but I've met so many people that I didn't think that were all interconnected some way. Like Steve will remember this. We actually had a couple of I guess a couple months ago I should say, that were that they did a film called Manguaki. They're Hatube Films. Yeah, they came here. I saw the film. I thought it was great. Yeah. And it, you know what it is? It's just speaking to people like that in that community is really inspiring. And due to the fact that, and you know, I'm not trying to sound cocky, anybody knows me knows I'm pretty self-deprecating guy to begin with anyway, but me being able to feel like I've been able to make these connections with all of you people make me feel like I'm actually doing something right and I'm in the right company, and I can't wait to see what happens in the future as far as like me being part of the community.
Yeah. And that, you know, going back to like, you're not inspiring, you are a filmmaker.
Right.
Now you're having these relationships and conversations with fellow filmmakers, you know? These are your peers, you know. Even when people tell me like, "Oh my God, I love what you did," I'm like, "Shit, coming from you, that's, you know, like I'm like, oh my God, thank you." You know what I'm saying? Like, I respect everything you do, you know. So that it's such a like rewarding feeling. Even let's say we're not all where we want to be, but it's a rewarding feeling to get the recognition from your fellow peers and your fellow filmmakers, you know?
And what's more important is that it's not a competition.
It's not
all
at
a
all.
collaboration.
Absolutely.
We're all in this, wanting to help each other out and support each
Absolutely.
other. That's what I love about that, you know. And I mean, I'm not a competitive guy. Like if I'll cut somebody's head off just so I don't have competition.
Yeah. That's the thing is like, yo, if one of us wins, like we all win, man.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
Like,
yeah.
we kind of like going back to the festival, like we kind of felt that way recently. We just had the opening night, and that was for a film from Aristotle Torres, who also had a short film.
Great name, by the way.
Yeah. Also had a short film with us our year. His short film now became a feature, is about to release in theaters next week.
Nice.
And it's executive produced by Jamie Foxx. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Awesome.
Like, it's like,
That's
it's
awesome.
great. And, you know, to us, it's like, yo, that's us winning. There's no need for any of us to be like, oh, no, that's amazing. One of our own, like, is doing it, you know, and he's as supportive of us, you know, and vice versa, right? It's like, we all kind of like are doing it in a way together, even if it's just one of us gets it, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all of us happy. It's happy for all of us, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very similar to the podcast community. I feel like we're not in competition with each other. We're all trying to reach for the same goal and help each other out and lift each other up, because I feel like we all come from certain but different backgrounds, if that makes sense. Like like we have different experiences, but we all have been through something, and being able to be there for each other is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And that's, you know, I've been to a lot of festivals, man, and this is not me like shitting on any other festivals, but the New York Latino Film Festival has always been this like tight-knit community. There's other great festivals, but they're the only ones that I have felt really show up for the filmmakers in terms of like supporting or keeping in touch, or just being like, hey, I see what you're doing, or, you know, hey, this is great. Or even when you submit, they're like, yo, loved what you put together, this and that. And it's like, oh shit, you know. And they don't have to do that, but they want to do that, and that really means a lot, you know.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I'm not even a part of it as of right now, but just hearing that and feeling it come from you, that's like a very overwhelming and humbling feeling. I think that I could hear it in your voice how much it really means to you and how much passion you have for it.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, ever since 2018 at Willows Luck, I've been coming back. Like, maybe there was like 1 year I didn't come back because maybe I didn't have something, but even if I don't have something, and if I'm here, I'm like, I gotta pass by. I don't care if I have a film or not. I just want to show up, show love, because I know the hard work they're doing to just give everyone a platform. And that's really it. Like, they're just trying to give our community, our Latino, Hispanics, like, they're just trying to give us a platform to showcase our films.
Right.
You know, and then, there's the backing with HBO and Warner Brothers and whoever other sponsors or whatever. And that's their way of giving back, of like, hey, man, look, we're getting like big dollars and like big companies to allow us to have this space to showcase your work, you know?
Yeah. Well, you live in LA now, but it looks like Jersey's actually coming up as far as the film industry is concerned.
Oh, yeah, no, I've seen it. And I know Netflix is like building the studio.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Like
there's a studio lot out in Jersey City right now that's huge. But like, would you ever consider coming back, or do you love the West Coast too much at this moment?
So I hate the cold now. I don't want to be in the cold. Even though I was born in November, I'm a November baby, Scorpio, holla. But I don't want to be in the cold. That's number one.
All right.
But honestly, you know,
And I'm sure your wife loves it over there as well.
yeah. Oh, hey, my wifey, baby. She's gonna be so happy you said that, because she's my wife. But we're gonna be married eventually at some point.
Oh, okay, all right.
We're about to move in together, so it's gonna be great. Oh, wow. She's gonna lose it when she hears this. Yeah, she's over there, so of course she's actually from Jersey as well, which is actually really funny.
Yeah. Didn't she have a salon?
A salon, discotheque salon. Yeah.
There you go.
She started it herself, which again, amazing. Something that I'm very proud of her and admire her for doing it, you know. So, you know, we're both Jersey babies, but you know, we've noticed, you know, what LA has to offer. Just like, you know, living somewhere else. I think, you know, I was just talking to Steve before when he was in here, you know, and he said that he moved to Seattle. It's like, yes, I feel like everyone should just move from where they grew up at some point. Doesn't mean you have to move out of it forever. Am I never not gonna come back to Jersey for a long period of time? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Right now, LA is home just because I feel like that's where the work is based for me.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean that I can't come here and work. I've done it plenty of times. You know, like I could always come back and forth.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from, and
Yeah.
I actually did live in Florida for a number of years.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm not going back there.
Well, Florida's a different animal. There's a lot of crazy people in Florida.
Yeah. I don't have any love for Brandon, but that's neither here nor there. All right, well, Ricky, man, I feel like I could talk to you forever. But
Wait, that's our hour?
I feels like I think they've been a little bit more courteous.
Okay.
But listen, man, I feel like I could talk to you for hours about a lot of things, man. But I just got to say that I'm really, really happy that this finally happened. It's been a long time coming. I've been wanting to meet you in person, not just have you on the show, but I've been wanting to meet you in person for quite some time. And I'm so happy that I finally did, man. It's been a pleasure meeting you and everything.
Thank you
but
for
before we
me,
go, we're about to close out this episode in a little bit. But before we go, I just have one more question that I want to ask you. We ask everybody that comes on the show, just something to have fun with. There's no right or wrong answer, just kind of something to put it on a positive spin at the end of the episode. So the question that I usually ask the guests when they come on is, if they were to make a movie on your life, which actor or actress would you like to see portray your character and why? However, with you being a filmmaker, I'm going to flip it. And I did this for Ramon as well. You were out there, filming something. Who is your dream actor or actress or both that you would love to direct?
Wow.
You got a Jeopardy theme back there?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many because I feel like the answer will always change, but definitely in the sense of like just to like the immense like appreciation, or like the immense just like how proud, like someone like Michael B. Jordan, like what? Like this guy's from Newark, like
Newark,
you know what I'm saying? Like started so young and like really followed through to the point that he's like one of the biggest stars in the world. Like that's amazing. And he's just
he even got to direct his own movie.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I got to direct Creed and stuff. So it's like, I know I could pick so many other people, but like, I definitely there's a certain satisfaction or like appreciation especially when I hear about people who are from Jersey, where I'm like, oh, fire, you followed through on it. You're doing the thing. You're successful. Like you're inspiring. You're motivating. Like this is amazing. So anytime, even when I connect with people over there that are from Jersey, like I lose it. I'm just like, whoa, like let's go. We're here. We're doing it. So I would say Michael B. Jordan's one for sure that I would love to direct or something like that. This is Jersey.
Hey! All right, that's awesome, man. Yeah, Michael B. Jordan is a pretty popular answer here on the show, man. But part of the reason I guess I put that out there is like manifest it. If you've been to manifestation and all that shit, manifest it.
If I could direct the cool little basketball movie with Michael B. Jordan, throw him in there, I would love that.
There you go. All right, well, again, Ricky, man, thank you so much for coming through, man. I really appreciate this. I'm fucking smiling from ear to ear right now, man. I'm so glad this finally happened, man. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this episode of First Class, Second Place. Thank you so much to my guest, Ricky Rosario. Anybody you want to give a shout out to before we close out?
We're talking about my wife and my girlfriend, so just special shout out to Kayla. She's been holding me down, and I always think, hey, if you could find a special person in your life to really be there for you through tough times and good times, hold on to those people. And not just a significant other, just also like friends as well. Like be mindful of the people that are really sticking with you through like thick and thin.
Right. That's beautiful, man. And where can they find you on social media?
My socials are Yo Rick. It's Yo, which is YOYOO Rick.
Yo Rick. Yeah, I gotta phonetically sound it out.
Yeah.
All right, hey, man, appreciate this, man. Really appreciate this much, man. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find me at JasonEnrique_ on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Threads, or everything on social media. Don't forget to like, subscribe on YouTube at First Class Second Place. This has been the First Class Second Place podcast. We out.
Fire.